cars. They're not just for getting from A to B. They're a world unto themselves, full of power, engineering, and let's be honest, a bit of testosterone-fueled excitement. Now, you might be thinking, Jeremy, why should I bother learning about this stuff? Well, my friend, knowledge is power, or in this case, knowledge is the difference between getting ripped off by a dodgy mechanic and confidently telling him to shove his dodgy spark plugs where the sun don't shine. Knowing about cars isn't just about saving money, it's about understanding the machines that have shaped our world. It's about being able to hold your own in a conversation at a pub, impressing your mates with your newfound car whisperer skills. And let's not forget the feeling of satisfaction when you diagnose a problem with your own two hands, saving yourself a trip to the garage and a small fortune. But where to begin? Don't worry, I'm not going to throw you into the deep end without a metaphorical rubber ring. We'll start with the basics, the building blocks of car speak, so you can walk into any garage with your head held high, ready to discuss camshafts and crankshafts like a seasoned pro. So buckle up, Buttercup, because we're about to embark on a journey into the heart of your automobile. Before we delve into the nitty-gritty of engines, let's get acquainted with some basic car terminology. Think of it as learning the alphabet before you start writing a novel. First up, we have the engine, the beating heart of your car. It's the big fella under the bonnet that makes everything go vroom. Then there's the transmission, the gearbox that sends power from the engine to the wheels. It's like the translator between your engine's language and your wheel's dialect. Next we have the brakes, those magical devices that bring your speeding metal box to a halt before you become intimately acquainted with the nearest tree. Steering is fairly self-explanatory. It's how you point the darn thing in the right direction. Suspension, on the other hand, is all about keeping your ride smooth and preventing your teeth from rattling out on bumpy roads. Finally, we have the electrical system, a complex network of wires and gizmos that makes everything from your headlights to your radio work. Think of it as the nervous system of your car, sending signals and keeping everything ticking over. Now I know that was a lot to take in, but don't fret. We'll be revisiting these terms throughout our journey, and soon they'll be rolling off your tongue like a mechanic reciting the alphabet backwards. Now, let's talk about the engine, the beating heart of your car. It's the bit that turns petrol into power, and without it, your car is about as useful as a chocolate teapot. Picture the engine as a miniature internal combustion chamber. Inside, you've got cylinders, pistons, and a whole lot of controlled explosions happening. The basic idea is simple. You mix air and fuel, you ignite it, and boom! The resulting explosion pushes a piston, which in turn rotates a crankshaft. This rotation is what ultimately powers the wheels. Of course, there's a bit more to it than that, but that's the gist of it. Now, engines come in all shapes and sizes, from tiny 3-cylinder ones that sound like angry sewing machines to massive V8 ES that could wake the dead with their roar. Each type has its own quirks and characteristics, but they all work on the same basic principle-controlled explosions. Section 4, Engine Alphabet Soup, Decoding the Types. Right, let's talk engine types. You've got your inline engines, your V engines, your flat engines, and even the odd W engine thrown in for good measure. Confusing, right? Don't worry, it's not as complicated as it sounds. Inline engines are the most common. They're simple, reliable, and they sound pretty good when you give them the beans. V engines, on the other hand, are all about power. They're arranged in a V shape, which allows for more cylinders and therefore more oomph. Think muscle cars, sports cars, and anything else that needs to go from 0 to 60 in the blink of an eye. Flat engines are a bit rarer. They're known for their low center of gravity, which makes them great for handling. Porsche is a big fan of flat engines, and for good reason. Then you've got your W engines, which are basically two V engines bolted together. They're big, they're complex, and they're found in cars that cost more than your house. Section 5, from 0 to 60, how your engine does its thing. So, how does all this translate into making your car actually move? Well, it all starts with the humble spark plug. This little fella creates a spark that ignites the air-fuel mixture in the cylinders. The explosion pushes the piston down, which in turn rotates the crankshaft. The crankshaft is connected to the transmission, which sends power to the wheels via a series of gears. The faster the crankshaft spins, the faster the wheels turn, and the faster you go. Simple, right? Well, not quite. There's a whole lot of engineering wizardry going on behind the scenes to make sure everything works smoothly. We're talking about things like fuel injection, ignition timing, and valve timing. all of which are crucial for your engine to run at its best. Section 6. Fake it till you make it car talk tips and tricks. Now you're probably not going to become a master mechanic overnight, but that doesn't mean you can't sound like you know what you're talking about. Here are a few tips to boost your car talk confidence. First, learn the lingo. Drop words like camshaft, turbocharger, and differential into casual conversation. Don't worry if you don't fully understand them, just sound confident. Second, be opinionated. Everyone's a critic, especially when it comes to cars. Have strong opinions about different makes and models, even if you've just pulled them out of thin air. Finally, don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. Even if it's just changing a tire or checking the oil, a bit of practical experience goes a long way. Section 7. Congratulations, you're now fluent, almost key takeaways. So there you have it, a crash course in car talk. We've covered the basics of car anatomy, delved into the mysteries of the engine, and even learned how to sound like a seasoned gearhead. Remember, knowledge is power, and when it comes to cars, a little knowledge can go a long way. Keep learning, keep exploring, and most importantly, keep driving. And who knows, maybe one day you'll be the one dispensing car wisdom like a pro.